Hey pillars, and welcome back to their cycling news video. Yet again, we're talking about the Mathieu van der Poel hotel incident. We have a clearer version of the incident on film, not taken on a potato. So we do have more freeze frames and a little bit more context. Now, I will put the disclaimer up on screen. Any of the information shared in this video is speculation. None of it should be taken as fact, and any of the other opinions are my own. So with that being said, for legal reasons, we're going to jump into this video right now. Now, I'm going to play the video without speaking so you can hear the audio, and then I will break down exactly what happens in this video.
No, we already done that one. There's the one that...
Now, at the beginning of the video, there's two girls, so one that is knocking, the other one that is filming, and yet again, where are the parents in this situation? But at the beginning, one of the girls that is filming says, "Don't knock on that door again, we already knocked on it." And the fact that they're filming, that is very much antagonizing and looking for a reaction. So even though the friend says, "Don't knock," she goes to knock on the door again, and then they run back into their hotel room, which was across from Mathieu van der Poel. Mathieu van der Poel rushes into that room. Maybe he saw the phone. I'm speculating at this point. I don't know what he was thinking in terms of getting them away, but as soon as he probably saw them filming, that probably enraged him even more. And this wasn't the first time, because clearly in the video she says, "Don't knock on that door again." So freeze frames, her knocking. Yet again, where are the parents? Why are these children left alone? And then this is the girl that knocked. She's in the room. Now, this is all the freeze frames that we have of Mathieu van der Poel. Now, I want to speculate and share my opinion. For all we know, he could be lunging towards the phone. And yet again, we don't know what the situation is, who has what phone, what Mathieu van der Poel was thinking. Regardless, does that justify his actions? And with the law, I don't know exactly how the law works. I'm not a lawyer in Australia in terms of what's considered assault, etc., etc. You know, he jumped over the bed. You know, was his intention to even touch them, or was it to scare them or to get the phone? I don't know. I can only speculate. But yet again, it doesn't look good. You know, you're in your boxers, you know, in someone else's room, regardless of the fact that he was provoked. That still, in my opinion, doesn't give total justification on the way he handled it. And he himself has admitted that this was a very poorly executed in terms of how he resolved it. He should have never even left his room. He should have just called security. And yet again, I want to highlight the fact that supposedly, from what I've been able to uncover, there was a whole floor of the hotel that was for the Dutch team. So this situation would have literally never happened, because the only people that was allowed on that floor were the Dutch team, but he wanted to be on a separate floor, supposedly with his girlfriend. So yet again, is that Mathieu van der Poel putting himself in a situation where he could be disturbed? Yet again, I'm only speculating at this point. So we have the first screen. Clearly, this is a better quality version of the video. You can see the tan lines. Mathieu van der Poel is a heavier set rider in terms of muscle mass, so a lot, you know, bigger. You can see the quad with the tan line, especially with his arms as well. And then you're going to see, everyone was trying to say, oh, Mathieu van der Poel, he only wears his Whoop bracelet on the left, but in this frame, you can see he's clearly wearing a Whoop, in my opinion. And you can see just the vascularity of the vein. Now, in terms of him, where he's touching, is he touching her arm? Does she have a phone in his hand? Did he trip off the bed? Like I said, I'm not going to say exactly what happened, but it does not look good on screen in terms of the fact they're even in this situation is a big problem. And then we have another one where it seems like he is touching her arm, but maybe he ran so fast, jumped over the bed, and he lunged out to brace his impact. I don't know. Whoop bracelet, clearly Mathieu van der Poel in his boxers, and then another frame which is a lot darker. And then we have the last concluding shot where you can see his arms visibly on top of her head. And then he's reaching for something. So maybe it was the phone. You can see, yet again, another freeze frame of Mathieu van der Poel. And he's lunging down towards something in terms of trying to pick something up. And it was probably her phone. So both parties are responsible for their actions. And in my opinion, the fact that the girls were left by themselves, even if the parents were in the room beside them, that's still negligent in my opinion. On top of the fact that this is not something a 14, 13-year-old girl should even be doing at that age. It's very strange. The fact that they were filming it, very weird and antagonizing, and that is a problem. So that should never be justified that, you know, they're just being kids. Very bad parenting, and also bad children, because that's just looking to provoke, and that's very wrong. But then on Mathieu van der Poel's side, he should have been on the Dutch floor. He shouldn't have been supposedly in the room with his girlfriend, because then situations like this can happen. And the way he reacted, you can't even justify that, and he knows he's wrong. So in terms of the legal ramifications of this actions and how his defense could defend how he ended up in that room and the intent of being into that room, it just doesn't look good. Whether he was lunging towards her phone, whether he lunged over the bed and had to break his fall because he was going pretty fast, it just still doesn't look good if you have a video where you're touching the girl on any part of her body. Now, I don't know how technical the law is in Australia and whether or not his lawyers will be able to appeal his convictions, but it just doesn't look good in terms of this whole situation. Mathieu van der Poel, in the interview recently, he looked very drained, very exhausted, so this is something he would never want to happen. I love Mathieu van der Poel as a rider, and I think this was just a lack of judgment at the time in terms of how he dealt with it. I do understand on a human, personal level, like many of everyone that's commenting in the cycling community, this is an expected human reaction after being disturbed that many times. And it's unfortunate to some degree that we live in a society where the fact that even provoking someone to that extent can even be justified is disgusting. So on both ends, you know, the instigator is the one that instigated the event. Now, Mathieu van der Poel, he did not respond to the situation properly as one should as a professional athlete. But still, that does not take away from the responsibility of the parents, of the girls, and just the fact that they thought that was okay to do. They thought it was okay to film and provoke bothering someone while they're trying to sleep. And that is really wrong, but also Mathieu van der Poel is responsible for his actions. So I just want to make that very clear. This is a very unfortunate situation. My biggest tip to any professional cyclists, along with professional athletes, when they're staying at a hotel or just in public, try to minimize your exposure as best as possible because of situations like this that can arise, and just the fact that the public does not have your best interest, because when things do hit the fan, they will play victim, and that is very unfortunate. So I'll leave it there. Like I said, you saw the disclaimer at the beginning of the video. If you guys like this update, drop a like, subscribe to the channel, and until the next one, keep on pedaling.